Yo, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing one of my favorite labs, favorite things to do, favorite everything. And this will work 99% of the time. The reason I haven't done this in the past is because this is a post-exploitation um, technique versus most of my stuff is to gain exploitation or to gain a foothold into a network. This is post-exploitation, so keep that in mind. If you guys like this content, if you guys like seeing some of these more advanced stuff, this is a very simple tool, but you have to understand what you're doing. And anyway, if you guys like this stuff, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that like button, and if you really feel inclined, make sure you check out the Patreon. There's not a whole lot on there now. I was working on it a lot, but some things have come up. But if you want to donate or help out with the channel in that way, feel free. Otherwise, definitely just hit that sub button. It helps out so much, guys. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So first off, if you guys don't know what Responder is, it's a tool that captures credentials. Okay, we'll say that that's very high level. But what we're going to talk about is what it's actually doing. Okay, so there's a protocol called LLMNR. Okay, and what this protocol does is basically when you go to, so you'll see we have two servers here. We have our Windows server here, and I have IP config so you can see the IP address here. So there's this server. When you go to a file share, let's say hello, or we'll just say stolen 123, right? If you go to that file share, it doesn't actually exist, right? Oh, I just realized it's messing up my camera. Sorry, guys. So anyway, it doesn't actually exist, and so basically your computer's going to say, "What? Well, okay, what do I do?" So what's going to happen is it's going to send out a request, and it's going to say, "Who is stolen 123? What server are you? Can you tell me?" And because it doesn't have a DNS entry, it doesn't have any entry, so it's going to send it out. It's going to say, "Who is this?" And nobody's going to respond, right? Because it's nobody's stolen 123. Well, what Responder does is it allows us to sit on the network. So this is post-exploitation. So once you have the network, or once you're on the network, it's going to allow us to sit on that network. And anytime a request comes out that nobody else is responding to, Responder, hence the name, is going to respond saying, "I am that person." Well, why is that important? Because in order to get onto a file share server, what do you think you need? You need your credentials. So what do these servers do? They send us their credentials, okay, of whoever's logged in or whoever's trying. So you'll see what I mean. So I'm in the Responder logs directory here. All we're going to do, and I get a lot of requests like, "Hey, you didn't show me how to install it. You didn't show me how to do this. You didn't show me." You're right, and I'm not going to. And the reason for that is because if you need help installing a tool, or you need help, just getting a tool to run, you are not ready for that tool. And that's not an insult. That's not a bash. It just means you need to work on your skill set. You need to gain knowledge, because I don't want to make this a point and click guide to teach you how to hack, because that's not hacking, and that's also not teaching a good thing, because that means a lot of people can go out, just do exactly as I do, and it'll work. That's not what I'm teaching. I'm teaching a skill set. I'm teaching how to hack and then how to defend against it. As you'll see at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to stop this attack as well. And I think it's important that you guys see how to detect and prevent these attacks as well for a lot of you that are blue teamers. So here we go. So we're in there, the user share Responder logs directory. And we're in here. You'll see why, because we'll need in this in a second. So first thing we have to do is we have to go ahead and say ifconfig, because we need to know what is our interface, which you can see is ENS33. Now the reason I'm using this one is you can see it's on the same subnet as the so you can see it's the same subnet as the Windows computer. And I know my thing keeps doing that. It's because of the lighting. I need to get a light that sits up and shines on me, so that way this lighting doesn't change. But you can see here the IP address for the Windows machine is on the same subnet as this interface. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say you have to run it as sudo. So sudo responder. So this would be once you're on the network, right? So you're already on the network. We're going to say tac I for interface, and we're going to say ENS33, and then we're going to tell it what IP address to listen on. So what that means is when they send the requests out, when the other machine sends a request out and says, "Hey, who's stolen 123?" this computer needs to know what IP address to tell it, because I could tell it, hey, it's this computer over here. I want you to send it to a different computer that's already listening, that's already waiting for it. So that way we're not sitting here and giving up our, giving up our computer, our IP. We could use a local machine to do this as well. So here we go, sudo responder interface and IP, and we'll hit enter, and you see it's listening. So we're just listening. That's all it's doing. It's just listening. Okay, and you can see you can turn on other things. So now when we go here and we say, okay, let's go to, and we'll change the name just so you can see that I didn't set this up before. We'll change the name to Stuffy24, right? So we're going to go Stuffy24, and you hit enter, okay? If it loads. There we go. So, and you can see there's two things that happen here. I don't need to go to that. So you can see that this actually, what it did is it captured the username and the hash of it, okay? So we already, just from that, got a username and a hash. Now this computer, I know what the username and the password is. I don't know how quick the password would get cracked, so I'm not going to run it on John the Ripper because I don't know how long it will take, and I don't want to sit here all day. But let's go ahead and do another one and just show you. We'll say hello, and just hit enter. So we said hello, and you see here, now it popped up and asked for credentials. This happens sometimes, and when it does, let's just do John. Whoops, we'll just do John, and the password will be John because I know this will crack fast. And we hit enter, okay? Now you can see, here's two things that happened. Number one, it actually cracked the, or it actually gave us the hash and the password for test, which is the computer I'm on, the username and password. And it also gave us, now here it says skipping previously captured for John because I already captured it before. So it already captured it, but it will capture it again, or it will capture it. So you would see the people that I typed in John for the username and password. It captures that as well. I just already captured that before. So we'll go ahead and hit Control C, and we'll just say ls, and you can see we have this one here. And the web one, that was just because we accidentally opened up a web browser on the machine, but it's going to be the same. So now what we can do is we can just say John, right? And we can just say SMB and let it run. Okay, and like I said, it might take a while because I don't know if this password is in there. It's not a hard password to crack, but it might take a while. But you can see the John and the John, that already happened. It already gave us that. That's how fast. So whatever I typed in, which I typed in the John and the username and password credential, I already got that name and password. So now here comes the part that some people don't fully understand. So there's a couple things. Usually the question I get when I teach this right after is, okay, cool, but how am I going to make somebody go to a random file share that doesn't exist, right? Well, there's two things. Number one, if you think about it, this is where I notice a lot of people that do CTFs and a lot of people that do, little things like that, like a CTF or whatever, don't actually understand enterprise systems. And this is when I say that, this is what I mean. Think about how many computers are in an enterprise system. For instance, there might be 10,000 computers running all the time. If you get on that VLAN or on that subnet and you run this, I guarantee you, if you let this run for a day, you're going to get some credentials. Why? Because everybody mistypes something. Everybody makes a mistake. And they won't even realize it because they'll just make it didn't go to anything. So then they'll realize, oh, I mistyped. And then they'll go fix it. So that is the difference. You're not going to... this isn't an attack that you necessarily have to force somebody to do. This is an attack that someone's going to make a mistake and you're going to be there waiting for it. So, sorry guys, I'm about to sneeze. But anyway, so that is why this attack is so useful, because it could be sitting there waiting and nobody would even notice. The other thing is, how much easier is it to social engineer somebody to convince them to go to a local file share versus a random website or click on a link or whatever? I would be 100% more likely if an admin from my company reached out and said, hey, go to this file share and get this file, 100% I'm more likely to go to that than I am if someone said, go to this random website and download this file. Like, I'm going to be a lot more suspicious. So you got to be thinking that way as well, is that yes, you could force it, but you may not even have to. You may be able to just sit here and wait. And then when you get it, just run John the Ripper or Hashcat or whatever on those hashes you get, and boom, you might have 10, 12, 15 passwords that you now can pull and start logging into other machines. And so now you're starting to gain a foothold and persistence on the machines. So keep that stuff in mind. Now I'm going to show you as a defender how to catch this and how to stop it. Okay. First things first, to catch it, it's an LLMNR is the protocol. Look in your, whether you use a SIEM, whatever you want to call it, whether you use just, manual logs, however you want to, or however you do it at your company, look for any LLMNR protocols. There shouldn't be. And the reason I say there shouldn't be is because no one really uses this protocol anymore, unless this instance happens where it can't be found anywhere else. And you shouldn't even have that. That shouldn't be a thing. The reason this is such a dangerous attack is because this is on by default. Okay, so most companies have no idea that this is going on and that you can do this, and it takes 10 seconds to set up. So I'm going to show you, as an attacker or as a defender, look for LLMNR in your environment and fix it. Get rid of it. So how do you get rid of it? Go to your group policy. If you guys don't know what group policy is or anything like that, don't do this necessarily because you might not know what you're doing. But if you know what group policy is and you understand how to fix it, how to go through it, this is obviously a test server. So this server doesn't actually have any, I haven't changed anything on it. So, but what you want to do is you're going to go here in group policy editor, and you're going to go to your admin templates, your network, your DNS client, and you see turn off multicast name resolution. So if you turn this on, okay, and we turned it on, right? So now we've got it on, and we go to DNS client. Come on, turn off multicast name resolution. And you can see it says it's not configured, but if we went ahead and edited this, enabled it, apply. Sorry, this machine is very slow if you guys haven't noticed. So you see it's enabled. So now if we run the same thing, okay, and then we say the same exact thing, come on. And sometimes group policy, you have to force update. So this might not work. We'll see. Okay, so see, it didn't work. It actually still gave it to him. So what we'll do is we'll do a GP update force, and we'll let that run. And all we did was change that turn off multicast name resolution. It says it's updated. Now, everyone that's ever been an admin knows that this may still not update it, but we'll check it to make sure. So we'll just say Donald. Okay, and you see, here's the difference, right? Let's see. So it's captured the hash still, but let's see. Okay, so it did capture the 2 hashes. So I would probably have to restart this machine is all it is. And I'm not going to do that on here because it takes too long. But basically, most of you know how, if you've worked in an enterprise environment, group policy, sometimes the force will work. Sometimes you have to restart the computer. That's pretty common. But basically, you have to turn off multicast name resolution. That is the LLMNR protocol. That is what you have to turn off. If you turn that off in group policy, this can't happen, okay? Now, keep in mind a group policy change is going to affect the entire environment. I would say 99.99% of the time, this will not affect a thing, okay? Won't affect a thing. Now, keep in mind that there's still that 0.01% that possibly could affect it. So when I say that, what I'm saying is be careful. Don't just implement something you don't understand. Make sure you know the effects it's going to have. Check with everybody in your company and make sure no one's using LLMNR, which I don't think anybody would. But again, you never know. Someone might have an application they built or something like that. But this is one of the most dangerous man-in-the-middle attacks that you can do because of the fact there is no way to see it as an end user and know that you did it, because you're going to get the same error, the same message, the same everything as if you went to a regular file share that you just typed. So the reason that is such a big deal is the end user just goes, oh, I typed in the wrong thing, and moves on and doesn't have any idea that you have their password. So keep that in mind. Make sure you guys are understanding what you're doing and not just doing this stuff, because it's very dangerous if you do it that way, because you will get caught, because this is loud, right? You're making connections, you're doing everything. So keep that in mind as well. But this is one of the coolest tricks. It's so simple, it's so easy, and you can use this. Like I said, if you have an enterprise environment with 10,000 computers, if you ran this for a day, I guarantee you're getting credentials, because people make mistakes. People go to file shares and they type it in and it's the wrong thing. They do it all the time. It's super common. I do it, you do it, everybody's messed up. So keep that in mind, and you think about that. Just them mistyping something gives you their password. That's insane. That's an insane concept that Windows still has this on by default. So keep that in mind. If you're a defender, check for LLMNR protocols in your environment. Look for logs with them. The other thing to look for is network logs that are reaching out to external drives with LLMNR. You know, that doesn't make any sense, right? Or external servers, excuse me. The other thing to keep in mind is turn off that group policy. That should not be on. It's on by default. Most companies don't know to turn it off, and it makes no sense to have on because it's an outdated protocol that nobody uses. So hopefully this helped you guys. Hopefully you guys are seeing some of this, how people start to build full pen tests versus a CTF. For instance, if you did this on a CTF, you're going to get nothing, and that's why you don't hear about this all the time as a try hack me, hack the box, all that stuff. You're not going to get anything because nobody's logging into those computers, right? But if you do this on an enterprise network, you will, and it is dangerous because it is illegal if you don't have permission. So do not do this unless you have permission. Do not do this unless you have permission, all right? Hopefully you guys like it. Thanks, guys, and hope you guys have a great day.